Hello and welcome back to the Warwick F1 show for another week. We're back for some more news as ever. Starting the week off with some news from this week and some news from last week as well. And we'll start with the news that I think fell or was big news for about 24 hours before Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari blew it out of the water, and that is the Formula One management rejecting Andretti's entrance for the 2025 and 2026 seasons. So recently, Andretti, the American, I think it's fair to say, dynasty of IndyCar and motor racing over in the States, have expressed a desire, along with Cadillac, to form an 11th entry onto the F1 grid. This story's been rumbling on for the last year now. The team's fairly unhappy with it, as it would dilute the prize money, and it has emerged that the Formula One management rejecting their entry, arguing that it wouldn't provide value to the sport. And I think it's fair to say the reaction was one of dislike for that decision, and I think it's one that I think is the completely wrong decision to make.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially, everyone is seeing, Andretti and Cadillac have been very, very sort of adamant that they want to do it. I mean, we know they've got the resources to compete. I mean, they are, to be fair, they've got better financial capabilities than some teams on the grid right now. But then obviously, but honestly speaking, I did see this coming from Formula One. Obviously, they've been staunch opponents of having the 11th team on the grid for that financial reasons. Obviously, and I think it was I can't remember. I remember reading like the official line was like, "Oh, they don't believe that there'll be a competitive team," but then obviously
Haas are famously competitive right about now.
Yes.
It's an interesting one because they said they would maybe consider it once they have a GM engine in like 2028 or whenever it was they're planning for. But the issue with that is that you then have this new Concord agreement in 2026 that is going to limit the grid to 10 teams probably.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just saying, okay, we're going to kick one of our teams off when you have an engine, which is probably just a threat to Haas. Get your act together, but
Yeah.
But I think realistically, of all the recent team entries onto the grid, we think back to 2010 with the three new teams, and I think we're fair to say all awful.
yeah.
Haas coming onto the grid in 2016, I want to say, and
It was 2016.
probably was their high point, and have kind of gone back from at least probably 2018 onwards. So you maybe understand why Formula One are kind of skeptical of allowing another team onto the grid, but this isn't an HRT. This is more than a Haas. This is Andretti. This is a team that has been a powerhouse in American IndyCar.
Yeah.
They've just come into WEC and done well.
Yep, come into WEC. I mean, Andretti, the name is synonymous with F1. I think it's either two or three Andretti drivers with the Andretti name have raced in the sport. Obviously,
Mario
Andretti, the first American, or I think the second or so American world champion in 1978. I want to say that's testing my knowledge, but the point is, like, Andretti they've clearly got the resources, they've got the name, it's a marquee team. This isn't a team that is going to come in and blaze out within 3 or 4 years. They're backed by Cadillac, who are like GM owned. There's money here. There is realistically no reason for them to reject this entry other than just the financial aspects and trying to keep it a closed shop.
Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really silly decision, I think, because I think everyone wants F1 to be more competitive every year. We've just seen the least competitive year probably, at the front anyway, in F1. Like, yeah, the midfield is really good, but who doesn't want another team in that midfield fighting? Like, realistically, Alpine needs some competition. Just give Alpine some competition for a year.
It feels like you're just squandering all the goodwill. Like, F1 since 2017 and probably Drive to Survive in 2019 as well has exploded in popularity, not just throughout the world, but a lot in America as well. You've now got 3 races. You've got Costa, you've got Miami.
Well, maybe even the Chicago Grand Prix they've trademarked now.
Yeah,
so.
trademarked Chicago. You've got COTA Miami and Vegas, two of those races, like, seen as fairly good additions to the calendar. We've given our opinions on the Miami Grand Prix. We probably don't need to go into them.
Maybe they get rid of that for Chicago.
Yeah, watch our Tracks With You episodes to do so, plug to...
But I mean, like, you're just rejecting an American team in a sport that has grown in popularity immensely. And if you are maybe an IndyCar fan wondering why you should watch F1, like, you'd want to support that American team that would realistically have at least one American driver in place.
Yeah, not even that. You've got, like, you look at the, like, you're going to create conversations with American fans. Oh, I want to support Haas. Oh, I want to support Andretti. Like, there's that competition. There's that friction. Whereas, like, oh, I kind of have to support Haas if I'm American. Like, it's like no one's motivated to go and support Gene Haas's Formula One team because he's not good at F1. And it's been proven now. Like, just kick Haas off the grid if you want to get. Like, you have to have Andretti in this sport now.
Yeah. I don't see. I think they're allowed to consider legal action because I think under sort of the FIA rules, this rejection isn't, like, maybe valid. Obviously, I'm sure lawyers will be having a field day trying to prove whether it is or isn't valid. But either way, it just seems like a short-sighted move and one that hopefully is reversed in the long term.
Yeah.
In some good news, however, while we were saying a few weeks ago that Suzuka might have been on the chopping block, well, it isn't for at least the next few years. The Suzuka host of the Japanese Grand Prix has been renewed up until 2029.
Yes.
Yes, and there's not much to say here. To be fair, it's a good decision.
Yes.
So I don't like that they're not giving it as long of a, like, we get all these 10-year contracts for, like, Madrid.
I think it's a
stuff.
financial thing though. Like, it's whether the circuit will be able to kind of support that. When it's like a city backed or F1 backed one, you can kind of make that commitment.
Yeah, but Japan, I mean, has continued to be a real supporter of F1. We've obviously got a Japanese driver on the grid in Yuki Tsunoda. The Japanese fans, are some of the most passionate. And it's a good decision. It's a brilliant track as well. It's probably one I haven't appreciated as much, having had to wake up at 6 a.m. every year for it. But it's earlier in the season, so it could be more competitive.
We've not had the most amazing races there, other than the big rain one, 2022. But, like, the will he, won't he win the championship. But
it feels like it's a driver's track, I think. And
it's a bit like Monaco.
Yeah.
It's like, it would feel wrong to lose it.
Yeah.
But it's got overtaking as well, which helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as that, we have had some news out this week that is potentially a bit more sensitive. So just offering a warning there as well. And that is the ongoing allegations against Christian Horner. So these came out yesterday, so Monday as we're recording this. And from what we know, and obviously the details are still very up in the air at the moment, but from what has been revealed, Red Bull have been conducting an internal review for some time, which did get revealed yesterday, pertaining to allegations as of yet unspecified against team principal Christian Horner. And from just general reaction around kind of the world of F1, it appears that these allegations are fairly kind of severe in terms of we don't know what they are, and we don't want to say or potentially speculate on what they are, but at least from general reaction they do seem fairly severe.
There's been like a mix of reactions though. Like, I think if it was really that severe, they wouldn't be allowing him to continue in his position. So I think it's kind of one that they're saying, okay, we're going to take it seriously. I think I wouldn't be shocked, I'm not going to speculate on anything, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's something like it's been a series of the same thing. Okay, we're going to investigate it, we're going to kind of make sure that there's nothing wrong, and then we'll go back to it. But we are going to investigate it, we're going to make it publicly known, and that way it will kind of hopefully put people off doing it again. I may be wrong, but that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I believe there is a hearing on Friday as we are recording this. Friday this week as well. That's what the official press releases I've seen have said. But obviously we can't say much because we don't know what the allegations specifically are. Obviously, the world of Twitter obviously is, or X as we should call it nowadays. Well, I'm still calling it Twitter, but it's that they are obviously speculating about what it is of pretty much completely varying degrees of things. But obviously, if it's serious, of course, hopefully it's just dealt with in the right way. Probably at least keep it internal. At least just keeps it a bit
closed.
Yeah.
The overreaction.
Yeah.
And I think it appears, at least so far, to be being dealt with in quite a professional manner. I don't know if this was revealed by, you two might know, but I don't know if it was revealed by Red Bull on Monday or just the story's kind of leaks.
I'm not sure how it's come out.
But either way, it appears that it's being conducted in a professional manner, and hopefully the outcome, whatever happens, is kind of the consequences are kind of in fitting with the allegation. I'm sure we'll find out more about it, and we'll make sure to keep up to date with the details. And I mean, especially with how powerful Christian Horner is, obviously the longest serving team principal.
Obviously we hope that it's nothing bad
for
everyone's sake, so obviously we don't want someone to have gone through anything. We obviously don't want to lose one of the big faces in the sport at the moment when we're losing team principals left, right and centre.
But that's probably all we can say, and we'll make sure to kind of say more when the allegation come out. And so the final news probably to discuss for the last few weeks are changes to some of the rules just within the racing in F1, starting off with changing the format of the sprint or of a sprint weekend. So last year we had the someone remind me, what was it last year?
Quali on Friday.
Yes.
Sprint Saturday, so sprint quali, sprint race Sunday. With FP1 on the Friday before normal quali. Yeah.
And that has now changed to basically it's now kind of a one event chronological structure. So practice 1 and sprint qualifying on the Saturday, then the sprint race in the morning and normal qualifying in the afternoon before the race, obviously, on the Sunday. I mean,
Saturday is now the best day to go to a Grand Prix, in my opinion.
You are completely right. Actually, I've not
qualifying is always a spectacle,
and you get a race.
but I suppose the qualifying might be ruined by the.
See this,
but qualifying's the more unpredictable bit.
Well, this is my thing because it does throw up I don't personally think there's any there's no perfect kind of layout for a sprint weekend, but there's some people have raised kind of the risk that if you got in an incident in the sprint race, it might impact on your qualifying. But I think that was equally a risk with the old format. I get why they've done it. Personally, I think I probably preferred the old format, but like I said, I do understand it makes probably more sense.
I think I'm quite happy with this. I think if they do it right, I think you could, because on Saturday you've got all of the support races. So if you have I might be wrong, but I think a lot of them have F2 and F3 support this year.
So the sprint races are China, Miami, Austria, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar.
Never mind. Literally, Austria might be the only one in that case. If you have to make sure that sprint race is the first thing on that Saturday morning. If there is an accident, people have got all afternoon to repair the car.
I mean,
and you put maybe if we go to COTA, you put qualifying an hour later. You get that nice sunset view.
Sunset.
Everyone's happy. What can go wrong?
Sunset quali would be brilliant.
Yeah.
And we should just do it.
And it will rain. That's what will happen.
Is Austin... No, I was about to say it's Austin the last day race, but it's Brazil, isn't it?
Yeah.
But can you imagine the...
And Mexico's after it as well.
Oh, yeah. Right, we'll move Austin to last and imagine the narrative of a title fight. And it's the beginning of the sunset of the title fight into all the night races.
That's
I should be the F1 scriptwriter.
F1 isn't scripted. We should.
Of course.
Of course not.
But I think both kind of formats work in different ways, and I get why they've done it. It makes more sense. Outside of that, a move away from 3 power units to 4.
Good.
which is a surprising one because I don't think we had many power unit issues last
I
year.
think they got changed a lot between races. Like there were issues, and people still got less penalties, but there were still. I think it will allow. I think people weren't pushing as much,
That could be it.
and I think people were aware of that, and it is kind of still hard to overtake. So that it's like, okay, we'll keep track position, save our engine, better qualifying for the next race.
When did it move to 3?
Last year.
Was it just last year?
It was just last year, and then Leclerc had a penalty in the second race.
That's just Ferrari in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that was with, I think those are the control electronics. So they've only
It
allowed
broke
2.
in Bahrain. Well, it broke in it broke in like practice or quality, and then broke again in the race. And they're like, we don't really trust the one we fixed, so we're going to get a brand new one.
Yeah. No, because then to be fair, they've only allowed 2 control electronics for years now.
Which is just silly.
I think, yeah. I hadn't considered kind of that aspect of they probably weren't pushing the engines that much. I mean, you look back to 2021, everyone kind of had one race, apart from Ferrari, but that's just Ferrari. Everyone kind of had one race where they had to take a penalty. Obviously, Max took his in Russia when he had that 3-place penalty for the collision. In Monza, Lewis Hamilton took his in Turkey. And
Brazil.
And Brazil.
Yeah.
Rocket engine, we love that. But I think, yeah, I mean, you do want them to be pushing harder, and it's the
penalties add to it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's the marginal gains of obviously using less engines is better for the environment and better for sustainability. It's kind of, you're getting into more marginal gains at that point where the loss of performance is kind of probably greater.
Well, especially if they're heading towards biofuels as well. It's less of an environmental issue.
Yeah, bring back the V10s.
With biofuel.
With biofuel. That's what Seb ran in Silverstone in Mansell's car.
Yeah.
You know what I realised this week? There's a bit of can be our segue for the
Seb's
segment.
gonna come back.
No, but Nigel Mansell was 39 when he won his title in 1992.
Where are you going with this?
No, it's just like, that's a lot older than I'd originally thought it was. And it came up because I realised Lewis Hamilton was now 39, and I feel really old.
And he's just test driven a car that he's now decided he doesn't want to drive for another year.
But he's going to Ferrari.
Or maybe he's so confident that he'll get his 8th and now he's just joyriding.
Oh, that would be some big energy right there.
Yeah.
He's just going there just to basically scupper Ferrari's plans to help Mercedes in the long run. Conspiracy theories, that's what we do on this show.
F1 conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Show idea. But the final bit of news coming out of kind of the changes is DRS is now going to be activated on lap 2 as opposed to lap 3.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they spread out so much so quickly.
Yeah, and that's going to be a rule for safety car restarts as well. So it's not just the start of the race, it's also after a restart. So before, they had to do 2 full laps before the DRS, and now it's just going to be 1.
Just copying F2. When's the reverse grid coming? That's all I'm going to say.
That's all we need. That's how we improve these
When
sprint
Toto
races.
leaves is the issue.
Was it just Toto who...
I know he was
When Toto leaves, F1 will be fun. Because he basically just does... I'm convinced, this is my conspiracy theory, that I actually believe in, that Toto Wolff has something on Stefano Domenicali, and he now controls Formula 1. He's the main talking force about, no, I don't want Andretti.
Well, it's like the Emperor Palpatine of Formula 1.
Yes. Yes, he is.
I wasn't expecting that such an acceptance of that premise.
That is how he appears in my mind, with electric coming out of his fingers.
Right, I think I think that's quite a good way to end the new segment for this week. So yeah, I've been Will. Will thinks Emperor Palpatine is actually Toto Wolff, and Chinmay is here as well.
Yeah, I'm still.
Yeah, thank you for listening.